My name is Matt Gill and I'm Raw Print. I set Raw Print up 10 years ago as part of zine projects we were doing at Nottingham Trent University where I teach. We've done all sorts of different print and publishing projects through Raw Print over the last 10 years with zines and also with independent magazines and with some different brands. And then about 3 years ago, working with Dizzy Inc., who are a local design and print studio in Nottingham, we set up Not Zine Library, which has its residency at the moment at the Nottingham Contemporary. And Raw Print is there primarily as a platform to promote and to celebrate anything that is kind of like within the world of independent publishing, but primarily we look at kind of zines and magazines. As a child, I was always really obsessed with reading comics, looking at magazines, and for me it was a bit of a kind of like a world where I could escape into and just kind of disappear and get lost in looking at the pages of, I love things like Asterix, and then as a kind of older child I would love looking at things like The Face and ID magazines, but also just anything that was printed. I just always loved the sort of tactile quality of it, and I think I got that from my dad, who was always taking me around little bookshops and things back in my hometown of Norwich. And then as an adult, and kind of like through my degree, I studied illustration here in Leeds and just got really interested in print and in printmaking processes. What I really enjoy about zines so much is that they are completely free and completely open to everyone, so anybody can make a zine. There's no rules really. You don't have to be, creative. You don't have to be able to draw. That you can do them about anything, and they can be in any size, any format. So I love the fact that they're kind of like no rules, and a lot of them are about expressing, things that are maybe kind of like marginalised topics, or kind of things that are a bit counterculture, or things that are a bit more kind of like rebellious, which I'm really interested in. The community aspect of zines is really interesting. I think the internet has really helped with kind of really forging that and making it much, much stronger over the last 10, 20 years, and enabling people to chat on forums and share stuff really quickly. So that whole debate around print is dead and the internet kind of digital taking over had the opposite effect really for zines and for print. It just helped the communication and the marketing, the promotion of it much, much more. I think the tips that I would give to somebody who wants to make a zine is I think you need to do a little bit of research first off. You need to look at some actual zines in your hand and just smell the paper and feel the paper and feel what you're actually kind of going to be working with, and just experience, because there's so many different formats and there's lots of nice things that you can do with the way in which paper can kind of be folded and little nice hidden details, and it might be the binding or the stitching. So I think go to a zine library, or check out some things online, look at some YouTube tutorials so you can kind of see different ways in which you can make things. And then I think just really have a session of like creative play. Just get your scissors out and cut things up and do some kind of cut and paste. I would avoid using the computer as much as possible. So go look at some stuff, have a play, and start to kind of like fix some things down, and then get it onto a scanner or get it onto a photocopier, and then just start folding it up into sheets and see, and you can make, one of the best things I think, and I do this a lot with student projects, is just to make like a quick instant zine with a sheet of A4, A3 paper, and you've basically got like 8 pages, and you kind of fill those pages, and it can be 8 separate designs, or it can be just one design across the whole thing, and then you fold it down and you've made an instant zine just very, very quickly. And I think you see like light bulb moment happening where people suddenly start to see, oh, that works in that way. And I think, you know, it becomes very exciting then because it goes from being an idea into a reality. There isn't a kind of single way in which you should do it. I think, you know, again, it goes back to that, there really are no rules, really. You know, you've got something you want to say, how can you best get it out there? What's the platform you want to use? And if you want to do it really kind of like DIY and kind of lo-fi and small scale, or if you want to go a bit bigger, you know, I think it really doesn't matter. And I think it's important that if you are kind of doing things on a bigger scale, that you make sure that the product is still really good quality, and like, you know, things like the paper stock that you're using is really like bang on, because you can sometimes lose things, you know, when you kind of like farm it out to a third party. So I think you've just got to be careful that if you aren't doing every part of that process, that whoever is kind of like involved is going to produce a quality product. You know, I see some things that the students make, you know, they have a great idea and it looks fantastic in a rough form or really beautiful on screen, and then they go to like just a regular high street printers and get it, and it comes back and it's on like glossy paper, and you just think you've kind of just killed it by not considering like a few simple key things. And zine culture is massive, say like within certain sectors, like within the football community. So for like decades, you know, years and years and years, you know, going back to the sort of 50s or whatever, you know, those kind of, not the official football programs, but like the fans, the supporters would make their own little kind of like fanzines about, you know, their favourite players or whatever, you know. So I think zines have always been there, but it's just only, you know, in the last sort of, you know, say 10, 20, 30 years that we've really, you know, kind of labelled them as this specific thing. Is a kind of like a parish, you know, church parish kind of magazine, is that a zine, you know?